This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first, like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it.
Rams Nation, welcome back to another edition of the Rams Up Roundtable here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. Happy New Year's to all our fellow Rams fans, football fans, NFL fans out there. We very much appreciate you tuning in on this New Year's edition. And Mark, Paul, how are we feeling today, gentlemen? Happy New Year's to you.
Yeah, pretty chill here. Nice. New Year's Eve is quite different for me than it was maybe 20, 30 years ago. You watch a movie, go to bed.
Good. I didn't do a crazy amount either. Well, you, Paul, how'd you celebrate, man?
Lots of family and Happy New Year's to the worldwide family. What a great way to kick off 2025 and talking about playoffs.
Yep, talking about playoffs for sure. But to kick off the new year, we have an old friend popping in. Why don't you take that away, Mark?
Yeah, when I started this podcast back in 2021, I flew solo for several months. I don't have the timeline down exactly. And then a gentleman by the name of Tom Courts reached out to me, and he was my co-host for quite a while there. And he brought on actually you two. And then Tom had to step back, got busy with some other stuff. But he's back. He asked if he could come back and discuss the Rams playoff prospects, come back after the Rams clinched the playoff spot. And here he is. What's going on, Tom?
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year to y'all. Great to be back. And what better topic to come back on beginning of a new year, beginning of a new playoff run. And just really excited to be back to chop it up.
Heck yeah, man. The OJ crew is here. That's freaking fantastic. And we have a lot to celebrate, Rams Nation. In case you haven't realized, the Rams have won the NFC West. And shout out to all the other teams that had to win in our favor to get that strength of victory tiebreaker over Seattle Seahawks. And get all your fan gear if you can afford it, Rams Nation. Rep it. Talk crap to all the other 49ers, Seahawks, and Cardinals fans. We have that for the next calendar year up until, things change next season. But, God, what a great feeling this is. And with that victory over the Arizona Cardinals to help this further get to that point, we got to hand out some game balls like we do after every victory the previous week. So we'll start with you, Tom, here. Who is your game ball
I
going
felt
to?
I felt like it was obviously Akila's getting all the love for that amazing interception, but Cam Kinchins also had an interception. I believe it was the in the end zone. It was the drive before, and plus he was tackling his tail off the whole game, and he and Curl were. They seemed like they were in on almost every tackle. It was, if it wasn't up the middle, it was Spates, and if it was anywhere not up the middle, it was these two guys. And so, but Kinchins gets the nod because of his interception and pass breakup, and he just played. I think he balled out.
Yeah, he was freaking important, and I know he said to reporters afterwards, like, I didn't know where I was on the field, and I know a lot of fans were killing him, but that was a crucial stop there. I tip my imaginary cap to him.
Yeah, and I think from day one until today, he might be the most improved Ram from what we saw, week 1 and week 2. He has really improved his play. He was a liability early on, I think, but he's proven himself.
Yeah, I mean, he was a liability. Well, you, Paul, thoughts on Tom Spicker?
Yeah, he's going to be crucial. I mean, the good news is that McVay did say Johnson is coming back, but Kinchin's been holding it down, and he's in their system to have another player that could roam deep middle and bring the thunder and supporting the run and clamping down on receivers. He's a huge, huge asset.
Yeah, but he's been fantastic since those early ugly games, and we're glad to see that for sure. But Mark, we'll start with you next, dude. Who is your game ball going out to?
Well, Tom did some foreshadowing there, and mine is going to Akilla Witherspoon. And the interception was incredible. Number one, and number two, how impactful was that play? We could be thinking about having to beat Seattle to get into the playoffs. Period. If it not for that catch, I mean, I thought that game was over. But on top of that, Akilla was another guy. He there's times where there was a game a few weeks ago where he didn't get any snaps. And now it's Durant that's on the sidelines because Akilla has really stepped up his play. And, big, long cornerback that's getting it done. And I'm not sure how he played over the course of the game, but just based on this interception, he's getting my game ball.
Yeah, he saved the day indeed. Paul, what are your thoughts on Mark Spicker?
Yeah, it's a great pick. That was I mean, that was a game saver, no question about it. But his play and his, in the modern NFL, cornerbacks with length and ability to make plays are absolutely crucial. Essentially, you can't win without him. And it's not a knock against Durant. I love McVay's line. What's that? A champagne problem, he called it, by having too many corners. Right? When's the last time we said that about the Rams secondary? But, in this NFL and in the playoffs, that's going to come back into play. That depth at corner is going to wind up coming full circle and playing a pivotal role in this game. So I'm sure Durant's going to get in soon and make himself known.
Yep, indeed. Tom, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's playing great. He came in a little, started a little rough, but he's coming, as a free agent, and but he knows the system, and that's half the battle when you're coming in midway, right? You can't just step in even as a solid player. So they trust him, they know him, they know where to put him, which is just as important as him knowing where to be, and what types of coverages to call with him and so forth. So he's really, I think, fallen back into where he kind of left off when he was effective for us previously.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And shout out to the homie Jake for arguing with people. Jake Ellenbogen, friend of the channel here. He's been battling people all year about it, and it's good to see that a player who probably should have been chosen over Tre'Davious White, let's just call it what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Finally come back in the lineup, play good football, and I'm glad we pivoted back to the corner we should have given some good money to. But great game ball handout there. But I'll start with you next here, Paul. Who are you giving out your game ball to?
So in a game where there was only 257 total yards, right? A tough place for Stafford and Iron Kyren. I had to go with Puka. Puka's numbers 10 for 129. You're talking about 50% of total offense on that day, right? But just and it's like a theme that we've been talking about, the electricity, just, the will to win is just modeled there. The yak, just, there's just so many intangibles at play every time he touches the ball. Like, you just watch the sideline and everyone is electric. So I had to give it to the big dog, Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua. And shout out to Rams PR, always just laying out really good stats for us to share with you guys here. Since returning from injured reserve in Week 8, wide receiver Puka Nacua has recorded 5 games with 100-plus receiving yards, most in the NFL over that span. Puka, 5 games. Justin Jefferson, 4 games. And 900 players that are tied for 3 games. I mean, dude is just a baller. He's having a better season, in my opinion, than last year, breaking rookie records. But, Mark, what are your thoughts on Paul's game ball here?
Well, I think we need to start the segment moving forward as, okay, who besides Puka gets game balls? right?
There's
He
no
is just
way.
so good, week in and week out. It's a solid pick. I considered him myself. And you're right. I mean, so little offense, but without Puka. And you know what? Puka might be my MVP of this team at this point. I know we're not going anywhere without Matthew Stafford, but Puka Nakua is right behind him.
Yeah, Puka Yak Kua. It's a great name, Paul. The yards after catch, which is you feel like that was all his yards today, other than a couple times. But Tom, what are your thoughts on Paul's game ball handout?
Yeah, I know. I mean, Paul pointed it out. He was the majority of the entire offense. It was something like half of the all Rams targets of all Stafford's targets were to Nakua, and it was what is it? It was 10. It was 10 receptions. There were only 17 receptions, and 10 of them were Puka. So he pretty much dominated the stat line. And there was a bunch of other guys targeted and with receptions, 1, 2, 3. Nobody with more than that. So it's it was pretty lopsided. And Cooper Cup-esque, right? Continues Stafford's new go-to guy. And it was just thank goodness we have him, right? I mean, these kinds of games without him, those are the games when things get ugly. So yeah, he's definitely the man. And I agree with you that Stafford is the obvious choice for MVP, but Puka is right there.
Puka Nakua. It's always great to hear our announcer crew shout that name through. Whether you're live there at the stadium or you always hear Sam's voice cutting through the TV broadcast. It's always great to hear, and he is a baller. But gentlemen, who am I picking to hand out a game ball to? And I think I got to give it to somebody who, dare I say, might win Defensive Rookie of the Year, Braden Fisk, who right now has 3 games with at least 2 sacks, most by a rookie in Rams team history, and also leads the league with 8 for all NFL rookies right now. And his 2 sacks in this Arizona Cardinal game was massive. I mean, think about how bad it was back in week 2 where no one could get to Kyler Murray, and how paramount it was in this game where the times that we did and where Fisk was able to get home. That really saved this game. If those times we did not get the Kyler, we probably lose this game, and we narrowly won this game with all these plays being made. But I think his overall improvement from the early parts of the year till now, I think his flexibility to line out wide like he is an outside linebacker and rush off the edge, I just think everything about his game has improved, and it really showed up in this game. And for all those people who said that the trade up was stupid, dumb, illogical, a waste of draft picks, yada, 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 yada. How do we look now? And I'm sure you wish you had Braden Fisk on your defensive line, all you haters out there. But I'll start with you, Mark. How do you feel about my handout here?
Yeah, I considered him myself, and for a game ball here, very deserving. And he's a guy that's just been super consistent. And it's him and Jared Verse, between the two of those guys, wow. We hit the jackpot with our draft picks this year, following last year with Byron Young and Kobe Turner. Man, we have a ferocious front now. And Braden Fisk, like you said, is so versatile, really creates problems. And another guy that's just, pedal to the metal, right? Every down, every play. And man, glad he's a Ram.
If your thoughts on Fisk here?
Yeah, well, the dude's a beast, an absolute beast. He's a monster in the middle, and sometimes it gets overlooked that BY and Jared Verse are getting one-on-ones because Fisk and, of course, the unsung hero Kobe Turner are tying up 3 guys in the middle, right, at any given moment. So it works out absolutely perfectly. And Brickhouse Braden is just doing work and not just rushing the passer, but playing the run a lot better, much more disciplined in his rush lanes, and the nonstop effort. Once again, another player, you see a constant theme, nonstop effort, sacrifice, doing the dirty work, just gets off the field on 3rd down and runs to the sideline after the 3rd down, obviously, and runs to the sideline and says, all right, let me just wait for my next rep to go out there and do some damage. So you gotta love it. And shout out to JB Long on the most recent segment with Coach McVay. He said something that I thought was just absolutely lights out. He said the Rams have they really have 3 consecutive defensive rookie of the years. We have obviously Kobe Turner last year, theoretically, right? But think about it. Yeah. But you also got Braden and Verse this year. A lot of people are saying, right, that they're probably equally viable candidates. So what a great insight by him. And honestly, I would have to agree that if you really look at it, you got 3 legitimate DROY candidates in consecutive years. So nice job to the Rams organization for once again spotlighting quality talent and being able, like you said, being able to pull the trigger and do what it takes to acquire them.
Yeah. Shout out JB Long. He always has great comments, no matter where his face pops up on Rams media. But Tom, your thoughts on my handout here to Fisk?
Yeah, I love it. He's just continues to bring it, like you guys said. But one of the things that the Rams, really fueled this run after their bye to get to the playoffs is the ability to get pressure without having to put in blitz packages. And I think it's the a top 3 attribute of a contender. Because these offensive coordinators and these quarterbacks are getting too smart now to be able to pick up those blitzes and take advantage of them with all the QB talent and offensive coordinator talent. So, having a guy like Fisk in the middle that can create that pressure in the right spot, right? Because creating pressure from the edge doesn't always get it done if the quarterback can just step up and enjoy his pocket there. But with Fisk in there and the conductor just shoving it up the middle, like Paul alluded to, and those other guys coming from the outside, it's tough. And without a guy like Fisk, they could double team the conductor, and we wouldn't be able to do it. So it takes all 4 of those guys to get done what they've gotten done, and a huge reason why we're where we're at.
Yeah, it's remarkable. 1-4 start. Everyone, including myself, was like, well, this season is probably toast, right? I won't shy away from that. I was very, very worried. And we know the team was very beat up. There was a lot of injuries, skill players, O-line, young defense, first-time defensive coordinator, all those things. But they got their freaking act together, and they won the NFC West. Fantastic. And I still can't believe we clinched it with 1 week left. 1 week of actual regular season game left. Who would have thought that way back then? Again, I definitely would have not. But with that said, Rams Nation, with that home playoff spot locked up, with all your ticket planning, I'm sure, is unfolding, right? All your flight plans, wherever you are, Rams Nation, on this beautiful, beautiful land. Who the hell are the Rams going to play? And with these possible scenarios, could it be the Green Bay Packers? Could it be the Minnesota Vikings, who we beat on Thursday Night Football earlier in the year? Could it be the Detroit Lions? Could Stafford get playoff revenge on his former team? Could it be the upstart Washington Commanders with the most likely offensive rookie of the year player, quarterback Jaden Daniels? And all these playoff scenarios are very intriguing. And gentlemen, we'll go through them, and we'll see, I guess, what we would like to see, just kind of what the football gods will bless us with, right? And I think let's do that now here. So Rams and Lions lose, and the Bucks win. It would be number 5 spot Lions at the number 4 spot Rams. And I think that's what all the networks want, that they'll bid over and fight over, right, gentlemen? And that would be an insane matchup for sure. Then we have another possible outcome. Rams and Vikings lose, and the Bucks win. Then it would be Rams hosting the Vikings again for the second time this season, after they gave Minnesota one of their few losses the entire year, which is really insane to think about way back when, that the Vikings would win that many more games and we were one of their losses. Wow. So that's another scenario that could unfold there. Then you have Rams and Packers win. and the Washington Commanders lose. Then we get round 2 of Rams and Packers here in LA after that really unfortunate beginning of the season start where, no Nakua, no Cup. But, the Rams defense held on. We had a chance to win it at the end, but Rams offense could get it done there. And then we have another scenario. Rams and Commanders both win. Then it'd be Commanders visiting the Rams there. Gosh, so many different scenarios, gentlemen. But out of those, and we can go through them real quick for you if it's hard to remember which one was which. I'll start with you, Paul. What scenario, just as a football fan, Rams fan, would you like to see wild card weekend?
Well, for me, it's the Lions because it means two things. It means, first of all, Coach O took care of business in his game. So that's number one. And I would love to see down the road the final matchup before the big dance between Coach O and Coach Big Bad. I think that would be phenomenal. That just speaks to the sheer brilliance of the Ram organization, right? But also to get the Lions to come to SoFi. I think, now that Big Rig Higgs is back, just to have him out there on the field, I just think the storylines are phenomenal. And, it's sort of like the Dodgers and the Padres, man. You could call it a warm-up game, a warm-up series, but it's not. It's really like Dave Roberts said, that's going to be the defining series, right? Because that's going to let you know if the Rams take care of business, they're going to walk out with confidence through the roof. And there are a lot of receipts that need to be cashed out too in that game as well. And not, let's just say it that way. Big Rig, take care of biz.
Yep. And real quick, Rams Nation, how does that have to happen, or how does that unfold? It would be Rams and Lions lose and the Buccaneers win. That's how that 4 versus 5 spot unfolds, with the Lions coming to the Rams. But gentlemen, real quick, I'll just ask you, anyone else agree with that? Mark, Tom?
Well, as a football fan, yeah, the Rams Lions would be the most attractive. As a Rams fan, I'm not sure. I don't know what I want. There's good and bad about every matchup. The Lions, obviously, opportunity to get some payback, but I'm also concerned, can our offense keep up with theirs, regardless of how good our defense plays? The Commanders, you got a rookie quarterback, which is a good thing, taking on a rookie quarterback. That'd be an exciting game too, really attractive game. But that rookie quarterback is really scary. Jaden Daniels. I'm not sure how I feel about going up against him. The Packers, I feel like we're a better team than the Packers. Them not having a true elite wide receiver. I'll probably take some heat for saying that, but I think that's the case. But then, we lose a little bit of the home field advantage when we play them because there's a lot of silly Packer fans in LA. And then the Vikings, I feel like, Justin Jefferson scares me, but it's a team we know we can beat. Sam Darnold, as good as he is, I think we can contain him a little bit. So I don't know. I'm kind of starting to lean towards Rams Commanders, and that would also mean, of course, the Rams have the 3 seed, which is a better spot to be in. For the following week, a better chance of being the home team again. So I understand the Rams Lions being super attractive, but from a Rams fan's perspective, I kind of like that Rams Commanders matchup.
Rams Commanders, how does that unfold, Rams Nation? Well, Rams got to beat Seattle, and then Commanders got to win against the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, which is very, very likely. And that will be that scenario. Number 3, Rams hosting the number 6 Washington Commanders. And that'd be an insane matchup too. I mean, all of these are pretty crazy, aren't they? But I'll start with you there, Tom. How do you feel? Do you agree with Paul's pick or Mark's pick there?
Well, I do agree. I want to get the Lions again, and who wouldn't want that game? The Lions though are also banged up, so their chances, in my opinion, of beating the Vikings, the winner that gets the 1st seed, the loser gets the 5th seed. That just there's no other scenarios there. It's just a matter of where the Rams are going to go 3 or 4. So I don't see them beating Minnesota. And then, like you said, Washington, I don't see them. Dallas is in tank mode. I don't see them losing that game. And And then Tampa Bay is playing New Orleans, I believe, and Tampa Bay's healthy and on a run. So I think that is the most likely scenario and the one I'd like to see. I mean, just if you think about the Lions, yeah, they have this record and they played, they played tough last week, but let's just face it, they've given up 150 points on defense over the last 5 games. So that's pretty easy math, right? 30 points a game for 5 games. And a couple of those were against the crummy Bears. And so, it's that defense is banged up. There are people off the street who are playing. And I would love to, I'd love to play the Lions for all sorts of reasons, but not the least of which is I believe that they're the best matchup for us. Given aside from all of the extracurriculars and all the emotions of it, payback and receipts, like Paul said, I think that actually we probably have the best chance against them.
Yeah, I got to agree. I'm also on that train with facing Lions in round 1 for all the reasons pretty much every one of you have said, right? The revenge factor for Higbee, the revenge factor for Stafford, the layout of players that are available for the Lions that were, original starters week 1 and beyond. They're just so dang injured. And your stats there that you shared about just how bad it's been. And I mean, is it a shock when you got second and third string practice squad guys being elevated and having to step up? And yes, there's still some other starters, not like a complete disaster for them on defense, but you could argue that it is with how much points they've been giving up. So I think for an offense, our offense that has just been absolutely anemic the entire season, other than a moment here or there, I think that would probably be the best matchup. And then that extra juice for Stafford. Let's go. You're in our turf now. Do you think he doesn't want to ball out against them and get a home playoff win and end their season at our place? And he knows he hasn't been playing the best. He knows the offense hasn't been playing the best. But I think that would give all the juice, quote unquote, in the world for this offense to really step up and score some high scoreboard points. And I'm definitely on that with let's get the Lions round 1 because truth be told, gentlemen, I don't feel good about having to play the Packers. I mean, McVay has not been LaFleur's Packers ever. And why is that suddenly going to change, this upcoming game? And maybe we'll have to face them down the road, but so be it. We'll worry about that if that comes up. But I'd rather not face them in round 1, especially when Jordan Love had his crappy game against us already. Is he going to have 2 in a row here at SoFi with the Green Bay Packers fan base really paying and spending a lot of cash to come see their team play here in LA, which I think would, be a detriment to our home field advantage, right? Having the Packers here. I don't want to see any of that. That's my preferred. No. Vikings, another round of Brian Flores defense, who I thought had a really simplistic game plan against us on Thursday night. I don't think that'll be the case in the second round or, a second time around in round 1. I'm worried about that. O'Connell I thought his play calling wasn't the best against that game, and we took advantage of it and we won. But I think they'll be motivated to really light up the scoreboard and have a great stop on us. Don't feel good about that. And then Rams defense cannot defend a mobile quarterback to save their lives. So you want Jaden Daniels, who's breaking records, rushing rookie records, rushing quarterback overall records, who has the most comebacks of any quarterback in the NFL this season. You want to see that dude where we can't defend well with any type of quarterback and run around? Yeah, freaking right. So out of all of them, give me the Lions defense, who's not playing well. Give me the revenge factor for Stafford, and I'm definitely on board. But Rams Nation, one more time for you. How do these things unfold? Well, Rams and Lions got to lose. Bucks win. We'll get that Rams-Lions matchup we're talking about. Rams and Vikings lose. Bucks win. We get Rams and Vikings round 2 in the wild card. And then Rams and Packers win. Then we get Rams and Packers round 2 in the wild card with the Commanders losing as well, which I don't see happening. And then if both Rams and Commanders win, then we get that matchup right off the bat. Rams hosting Washington. But who knows what the hell is going to happen, Rams Nation? Will it be Saturday night on Amazon, which I assume that's probably the slot they're taking? Will it be Saturday night on, I guess, maybe a CBS or Fox host? Or will it be Monday night, which is very likely? And I think, gentlemen, real quick, we'll just talk about this. No matter who we play, right? Packers, Vikings, Lions, Washington, it feels like that's going to be a primetime game, right, Mark?
I would guess so. Especially Rams Lions, that would definitely be a primetime game. But the NFL, they'll take a look at it. They're going to maximize viewership, maximize the dollar signs as best they can. And if I'd have to look at all the other matchups and how they end up shaping up for that first weekend. But yeah, good guess. Rams are going to be playing primetime.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum, built for business by American Express.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Paul? What do you think? No matter who we play, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, do you agree with that?
Yeah, you were talking about it earlier. All of us were basically commenting off screen that there are a lot of characters, a lot of personalities on this team to make them very, very viewer friendly. Puka Nacua alone, right? So, and just regardless of who they play, there's a storyline for every team. So it works out really well for the Rams. So that makes it very viewer friendly. So I definitely think they're going to wind up primetime.
Yeah, me too. What about you, Tom? You think primetime no matter what day?
Especially if, if you look at the NFC, the AFC, they're just going to get, the Chiefs don't play. So obviously they're going to, you love the Buffalo and Baltimore, and one of those teams getting a primetime game, depending on who are the better matchup. But in terms of the NFC getting one, like if the Lions, like you guys are saying, and we all are hoping for, if it's Rams Lions, and the other two matchups are Vikings Packers, like, for the third time, like, okay, great, seen that show before, so that's not super exciting. And then Tampa Bay Washington, which again, not that much star power going on there aside from Daniels, right? And so the Rams Detroit, it's not even close if that's the matchup.
Rams Packers, Rams Washington, right? I just think no matter what, we're going to be in prime time, no matter what day it is. And I hope it's Monday night. It'll just work out my schedule better. But if it's the other days, I will see you there, Rams Nation. You can bet your behinds I will be there at the Rams house in Inglewood cheering on this team. So,
sorry, correction. It wouldn't be Minnesota would be the 1 seed and have a bye. It would be Philly versus the Packers. That could get a nod. Actually.
Yeah, that probably could. You're right. But
and I think what Tom's trying to point out too, if you look at the AFC, I don't think there's a lot of marquee value for the teams like the Chargers, Texans, and Broncos either. So I think it's going to lean NFC definitely for primetime.
Yep, I hope so for sure, Rams Nation. But with all those scenarios that we laid out, it all depends on who the hell is going to play against the Seahawks in Week 18, right? We're going through, Rams win this, Rams lose that, and other scenarios that happen. But who the hell is going to play in this game? As Sean McVay traditionally has rested starters before the playoff tournament, if a playoff spot is pretty much 100% secured. And it's been that way since he's been our coach back in 2017. And with that, gentlemen, gosh, it's going to be exciting to see who suits up fully, who doesn't. And the only one we know for sure who is not going to be suiting up is Matthew Stafford, as Sean McVay said that today. And we're getting a Jimmy Garoppolo game, everyone. Ooh. And I know it's Paul's unofficial non-favorite Rams player ever, maybe. And I get all the reasons why. We've talked about it here on this pod and this network tons of different times. But number 11 for $11 million roughly. Can he get us to 11 wins? All those 11s with the Garoppolo signing and his potential play, controlling the playoff destiny with all these matchups we're hoping or it doesn't happen. But he's not the only one, right, Rams Nation? We know that there'll be others who don't play, right? Rob Havenstein still recovering from his in-practice shoulder injury, which, God, can we just not have any more of those going on in practice, please? So we know he won't play. Everyone else, I think it's kind of a coin flip because Rams Nation, this is not the preseason where you have 90 people to cycle through to see who's going to make the roster. You only have your 53, and then correct me if I'm wrong here, there's about 5 to 6 inactive on game day. That number may not be extremely accurate. Sorry, I'm just thinking about it right now. But, you're in the high 40s there, and 22 starters in total, plus your kicking unit. So there's not that many guys you can cycle through. But we're going to do our best right now to kind of give you a guesstimate who will be playing in this ball game. So, like we said, definitely Jimmy Garoppolo is getting the nod, no doubt about it. But here's some offensive guys we have here, Rams Nation, tuning in on YouTube. Blake Corum, Ronnie Rivers, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, Tutu Atwell, and pretty much all the tight ends we've been seeing all year. But do we get another game of no boom? Do we see Ndidich come back? Do we finally see Jonah Jackson get some serious action outside that one game where he looked abysmal? Do we get McMahon? Do we get McClendon again after he's played some good football for us? But I'll start with you here, Mark. What do you think the offense is going to look like Week 18 against Seattle?
Yeah, I threw these names out here as more or less a conversation starter of the dilemma that the Rams face. I don't know that they're going to start a second string offensive lineman, but the point I'm trying to make here is that people say, hey, don't play the starters. Well, you're going to have to play a couple here or there, and maybe a lot of them. But so I don't know. I think we'll rotate. One thing they could do is just go 12 personnel the whole game. Why not? Keep 2 or 3 of your wide receivers, shut them down, shut down your top 4 wide receivers for the game, perhaps, and let these tight ends roll. I know I was surprised that McVay said that Blake Corum's going to get a heavy load. I thought he might sit out. So Blake Corum's going to definitely play. I'm sure we'll see Rivers and Cody Schrader. So I don't know. The offensive line is probably the biggest question for me. Can you really expect to, can you ask Jimmy G to play behind that offensive line, or do you risk throwing, Bo Limmer, Steve Avila out there a little bit? I don't know. Well, it'd be interesting to see. I would have no problem with going with an entire second string offensive line and cross your fingers that Jimmy G doesn't get killed. But yeah, I just want to come out of this game healthy, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, I get that. What about you, Paul? What do you think the offense is going to look like with who's in and who's out on Sunday afternoon?
Well, this is the reason they actually paid money for Garoppolo. They knew a game like this would come up, and it does give them a distinct advantage. The reason we're having this conversation is really because of what Seattle's going to do. Right, if Seattle was going to treat it like sort of a meaningless game, that would be great. So, Ram Nation, just the backdrop. So McVay makes it very public. He's going in with, guns in the holster. And then within 24 hours, the Seattle coach goes, well, we're going to take it like a serious game. So we're hoping that's just talk, right? And hopefully, like maybe after a quarter and certain contract requirements are hit for certain players, right? Some incentive targets, that they ease up as well. So that's really my thought process. I'm hoping that's where it goes. But I think from an offensive standpoint, it will be the team that's closest to what the Rams scout team looks like, right? They're the ones that have played together the most frequently. They'll have the best chance for success. There's always a risk for injury there, regardless of who's out there. But I think it's probably going to be whatever the Rams scout team looks like, that's probably who's going to be the one, because they've been playing together all year pretty much. So if you take a look at that, that means, Rivers is going to get a lot of work, hopefully. We might see some Schrader, but I do think we'll see a little bit of Corum. And like Mark said, McVay's saying a ton of work for Corum based on what he's had all year. That might even be like 8 carries, right? That's a ton of work for Corum. The tight end situation, I think, is a lot easier to manage. I think for the Rams, it's a lot easier to manage on defense than it is on offense for a lot of different reasons. The only curious situation I see on defense is going to be, honestly, is like linebacker, right? You can play Hummel. That's not a problem. I don't think you have a problem there. But then you start scratching your head like, who else? Jackson, obviously outside linebacker, you got Jackson there, but you don't have a lot of depth to that situation. So, in a lot of key positions, you start to get a little nervous. You're like, wait, you don't want to take a chance of anything happening. But I think for offense it's a lot easier because of the scout team scenario. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And Jimmy Garoppolo, he has been the scout team quarterback. That's how the Rams do things. They let their backup, who they think is more qualified to give the defensive starters a good look, they have him run the scout team. And Garoppolo talked about that recently, how that's been something unique for him to do. He hasn't done that since his Patriots days, and how it's been interesting to study opposing teams' quarterbacks and how they do things. But what about you, my friend Tom here? What do you think is going to happen with the offense here as I just flashed this little graphic for you again?
Yeah, I mean, McVay, like you guys said Corum's going to get a workload. So he'll probably get the Williams workload, and, with Rivers backing him up. Maybe, I don't know if we'll see Schrader, but, that'll just kind of move one notch down. The thing with on the receiver side, I have a question. Is there any desire and impetus to try and get Puka 1,000 yards? He's at 990. Does he go in, get him one reception? If he gets hurt, going for a 4-digit stat line, not a good look. But
no,
he's McVay's done it before, and I think didn't he do it with Cup back in the day? And so I don't know, but most of the obviously Cup and Puka are going to be sitting, maybe even D-Rob, but they got a bunch of other receivers they can throw in there. Whittington, I think, is going to have a big game. It's going to be the Garoppolo to Whittington show. Obviously, Higbee's down. We got plenty of other guys to fill in there. But on the offensive line, I can see Limmer and Alaric Jackson. I don't see. I think that they're going to have to use Noteboom. They can't afford to put McClendon in there. Let's just face it. I mean, Jimmy G would. That's just not fair, right? I mean, Turnstile at right tackle. So they're going to have to throw Noteboom at right tackle, I think. And then Jonah Jackson gets in there. So, might have to leave Limmer and Larrick in there, which I think wouldn't be terrible, right? Give your left tackle. And then on defense, it's just mix and match. It's just there's plenty of youth up front. Give those guys some 10 snaps each or something like that, just to stay in game shape, if you will. But let all those backups that you flashed up there, get the majority of the snaps and see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that defense, just to get into it then, just like last season, Rams Nation, I mean, all the rookies played in that the California Bowl, backup bowl, right? It was Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold, Rams 49ers, where we pulled that off and we got a big victory that got us to 10 wins. And like I said, all the rookies played in the game. Obviously, Nakua was chasing history. McVay was allowing him to, burn Chardavius Ward, catch a touchdown, some other catches and stuff. That was fun. And I do think with the 1,000-yard thing, though, I'll say that real quick. I think McVay will pull the plug on that. Like, yeah, that doesn't really matter. That's not anything history breaking. Sorry, dude. But if I wouldn't be shocked if Nakua does go in for a little in route and does that and they yank him, wouldn't shock me. But I don't think McVay will allow that to happen. But I'll start with you, Mark. What do you think defensively it's going to look like? Do the rookies stay out there? Fisk, Verse, and others?
I hope Fisk and Verse don't play, but they may have to a little bit. I mean, you got to hear if you wanted to preserve the key valuable players, Tyler Davis, Gallimore, and Deshaun Johnson would be your key guys, but they can't play the whole game, obviously, right? It's just not workable. So I suspect those guys will have to play a little bit. And defense could be they could pull up a couple guys from the practice squad to help fill out here. Like Paul said, outside linebacker, I don't know what they do. Is Verse and Byron Young going to have to play a little bit? Maybe Michael Hoyt. Maybe Michael Hoyt's the guy. Linebacker, Omar Spates may have to play. And safety, McCullough and Cam Kinchins may get the primary snaps there. But as you can see, some guys that we would rather not play are probably going to have to play a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. What about you, Paul? What do you think about the defense, how that's going to look?
Yeah, definitely want to get Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk some rest. So those two, hopefully, fingers crossed, won't have to play. And just real quick about something about a storyline about Kobe Turner that we were talking about, Rookie of the Year and how he got passed over. So his second year, he hit 20 career starts. Let's just throw this out real quick before we move on. In the 20 career starts, you ready for this? 17 sacks, 18 TFL, 119 total tackles. So let's just round up a little bit, right? It's a sack a game, a TFL a game, and 6 tackles a game for the big dog. Say what you will, but those are some impressive numbers, right? So he's earned some rest. Same thing with Braden Fisk. Love to see Tyler Davis out there, Gallimore, big bad Bobby Brown, right? Just to get a little bit of work to keep him fresh. But it's tough. It's tough when you start looking at the secondary too. You always come up like, all right, who else? It looks like every now and then a starter's going to have to go in there, which is the scary part. Hoping that, like I said, I'm hoping Seattle really comes to their senses because, like I said before, from the Seattle standpoint, Seattle fans, one of your players goes down, right? Knee injury, whatever it may be, in a meaningless game, it's going to impact you next year. So I really hope that this coach was just, it was just words and not necessarily a game plan. But defensively, I think the biggest issue is going to be a linebacker, just trying to figure out how not to get the starters in there. That's going to be tough, though.
Yeah, that's going to be tough indeed. I mean, I know you kind of flashed a little bit on it there, Tom, but what do you think overall the defense will be?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to on the defensive side of the ball where you don't have these, crazy, outrageous superstars that could get hurt or it's like we're talking about our receivers, Puka went down or Stafford. I mean, just these catastrophic scenarios on defense. I'm not really sure how many of those there are. And so I think it's just going to come down to who's healthiest, could get some snaps. Cause like Mark said, on defense, especially, you're going to have to play some of the starters, some snaps, some backup snaps. And so that's what I see happening. Lake could be in there, things like that. And so, but again, it's just going to come down to, we don't know really who's banged up or nicks and, that needs the rest or not. And I think that will reveal itself. And it's the obvious choice when it comes to making your decisions, on that side of the ball, in my opinion. And we'll find out who was banged up and who's healthy is who's the healthiest when we see who plays. But in terms of the scenario of hoping that I hope Seattle plays all their starters. I hope we play all of our backups like we've just discussed. And I do want to lose that game. I'm not saying they go out there. Those guys that haven't played are going to go out there and play hard, right? But the best outcome for us is that they go out there, play hard, show their stuff. But it's the second string against the first string. And we lose and we play the Lions instead of Washington. And, that's kind of the theme of this show, right? Next week's incidental. So yeah, that's, I have a strong preference for the Lions versus that Jaden Daniels.
No, I feel that. And real quick, Rams Nation, my thoughts on the defense. I think every rookie that you can think of that plays significant snaps for this defense is going to play. Fisk, Verse, Omar, McCullough, Kinchins, whoever else I'm just blanking on right now. Oh, Tyler Davis, right on the D-line. I think all of them are going to play. And then everyone else is a coin flip. And I think it'll just depending on health and where they're at. But every rookie, expect them to be out there. And if they're not, cool. But I think the main thing is to avoid a Jordan Fuller situation where multiple years in a row in a Week 18 game, he injured his leg or an ankle. And most notably last year where he missed the playoff run yet again with a Week 18 injury in his ankle. And he was a starter for us. So avoid that at all costs. I mean, football is a freak thing. You can never control that. As long as you play fast, hard, and give it your all, then so be it. But we don't need any of that. And let's hope a Jordan Fuller ankle lower leg injury doesn't happen this time around. But Jimmy G, we know, is playing, quarterbacking our team to a hopeful 11 wins. But as we all illustrated, we're hoping for a Lions match, and we know how that's going to unfold for sure. But one more time, Rams Nation. Rams hosting Lions. Rams hosting Vikings. Rams hosting the Packers, or Rams hosting the Washington Commanders. Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night. Put your money on that. I think any of those matchups will be the case. But congrats to us. This whole scenario is possible because we won the West. And gosh, what a great feeling that is. And with that, and the season coming to a close here, the regular season, the Rams had some team awards that the players voted on themselves. And this is something that sometimes doesn't get mentioned or talked about unless the reporters of the team really push forward in that. And our reporters do a very good job of getting all this information out to the public here. And with that, Rams Nation, the players voted for the following players. They voted for Matthew Stafford as MVP, most valuable player for the Rams in 2024. Rookie of the year, they voted for probable defensive rookie of the year for the entire NFL, outside linebacker Jared Verse. He's had an awesome season. And Tyler Higbee gets a Spirit of the Game award and the Ed Block Courage Award, both showing that his determination to come back from that insanely bad, dirty hit from the Lions last playoff tournament, and him being mentioned seems like weekly since he's been on the sideline feeling better about how much he means to this team. Charisma, locker room presence, leadership, uplifting positive energy. So it's no shock that Tyler won those team awards as well. But what about you, Paul? How do you feel about all these awards being handed out? Again, voted by the players.
Yeah, this is all that matters, right? The team recognition. And just to throw it out there, Stafford, captain, 4 years in a row. MVP, this is the second time he's won it in a row. It says it all, right? So the Rams know what's up, right? They know, who's the captain of this machine. So that's number one. And you can't say enough superlatives about Matthew Stafford. And once the playoffs start, McVay's going to hand him the keys. He's going to say, do your thing, big dog, right? And you're going to see Staff just light it up. Well, what can we say about Jared Verse? The kid's a beast, an absolute beast. He's just scratching the surface of his potential. So I think all the players recognize that. They see it on a week-to-week basis. They talk about him in practice all the time. The stuff that he does in practice, the players always have a Jared Verse story about something that's happened in practice. I just think that really says a lot. He brings that same energy, so that doesn't surprise me. But let's talk about Tyler Higbee. Let's talk about Big Rig Higgs and him winning one of my favorite all-time Rams, Carl Eckern, right? Middle linebacker, great player. But think about this. He missed Super Bowl. Remember that? He was injured. Think about this storyline. That's why every season is just a different story. Just so many great things happening. He comes back in time for the playoff run. And remember what we talked about last week. What did he say in the locker room? He said something special is happening here, boys, right? Because he can recognize that. And he appreciates this playoff run probably more than anybody on this team. So I think it's fitting. He won the 2 awards, one for sportsmanship, one for spirit of the game, one for courage. So, if you just think about it, it's just so fitting. But he is going to be really the inspirational leader of this team moving forward throughout the playoffs. They're going to look at Big Rig Higgs and how he conducts himself. He's a veteran. He knows he could show the young guys how to handle it. I just love it. I just love it. And, kudos to him, Big Rigs. This is for you. There's the air horn. Go do your thing, big guy.
Yep. I hope to see him out there. Not this week, playoff. But Tom, what about your thoughts on these team awards voted by the players?
Yeah, Stafford, that could have gone to Nakua, but Stafford's the engine of this train for sure. And then a rookie of the year versus Fisk probably 1A, but those two guys just kind of come as a pair, obviously both from the first two picks from the same school. They just from Florida State and stuff. So a 1 and 1A, but Verse gets the nod there. He's just a beast. He's just if you were just a football guy and you took the names off the jerseys and the numbers off the jerseys and just watched some guys play, there's no way you would think this guy was a rookie, right? This guy, probably is right up there for defensive player of the year, let alone rookie of the year. And he's just his physicality. You just don't see rookies like that strong and quick and so forth. But in terms of Higbee, all of those things well-deserved, in terms of his leadership and his drive to come back. But from a football perspective, he's just going to mean so much to us in the playoff run, because having another target there that Stafford can trust, goes without saying that he didn't trust any of our tight ends this year at all. And when he did, they didn't really always come through. So they just, I think, wrote a lot of those plays out of the playbook. And now it opens up, in my opinion, a lot of plays for Stafford and McVay. And I think that's going to be a huge addition to this offense, in terms of just having another, a relentless target out there that can just get open.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm good to see 89 back out there. Every time we mention him, gets me a little smile on my face, and we hope he has some big plays. But Mark, what are your thoughts on these team awards voted by the players?
Yeah, I think MVP is kind of a no-brainer. You have to give it to Stafford, especially from the player's perspective, and Jared Verse. I'm curious how many votes Braden got, if any. I'm sure he got a few. We'll never know. And Tyler Higbee, I never saw him as that type of team leader type of player, but apparently he is. And maybe this injury has allowed him to emerge as a veteran guy now that can just be a locker room, training room presence for all these young guys. And I'm kind of curious. I was just thinking about this as you guys were talking about Tyler Higbee. If the Rams do play the Lions, would the Rams send him out there for the coin flip? That would be maybe a subtle message to the Lions about what's coming. And by the way, for you younger fans who don't know who Carl Eckern was, I think I did a bit on him at one point, but as Paul said, a very good inside linebacker, and he was killed in a car accident in the high desert on his way to volunteer at a camp for juvenile delinquents. And that's why one of the reasons why this award is named after him. Quite a guy.
Dang. I didn't know that. What a remarkable human for doing that for the youth. And what a great name for that award for sure. But man, oh man, Rams Nation. There's so much on the line this week, even though, yes, it might be the backup bowl for us. And yes, we are getting the Jimmy Garoppolo game, Paul's unofficial non-favorite Ram ever. I know. and $11 million for number 11 to win game number 11. How will that all shape up? But if we go through the schedule real quick, Rams Nation, by the end of our game, which starts at 1:30 Pacific time, we'll know if we're the third or the fourth spot, because Washington plays earlier in the day. The Buccaneers play earlier in the day. The Atlanta Falcons, who are still alive to win the South, play earlier in the day. So by the end of win or loss here in Inglewood, we'll know if we're the third or fourth spot. And then it'll just depend on how much more chaos happens with the Vikings-Lions game and some other games that unfold as well. But gosh, what an exciting day this is when our playoff spot's secured. I love it. I love it. But it all starts with the Rams winning the West. As you can see, Tom's beautiful dog there.
Cooper Pup. Coming
what a great name.
Say hello. Hello.
What a great name. Let's get that dog suited up and play against Seahawks. I'm sure they could score a touchdown.
Kind of looks like him with that big beard and everything.
Yeah.
I always think.
I love animals here, and shout out to the good Rams name there for your pet there, Tom. But Rams Nation, we'll see you very soon. Don't worry, we'll have a post-game reaction after this. Hopeful or non-hopeful, depending on how you lean in this playoff scenario and who you want to play come Wild Card Weekend. But we'll definitely have a playoff breakdown and a post-game reaction once we know things have unfolded there. And gosh, one more time. Rams are NFC West champions. Thank God we're hosting a playoff game, and we shall find out very soon who we will play. But gosh, that'll do it here, Rams Nation. Thanks for tuning in. Tom, thanks for coming back, man. We want to see you the rest of this playoff tournament. Can we get that from you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm in all the way through the Super Bowl victory show.
Yeah, heck yeah, that's fantastic. But Rams Nation, thanks for tuning in. Gosh, what a great time to be a Rams fan. Get all that fan gear, and most importantly, get your tickets to go to SoFi Stadium and rep your Los Angeles Rams for a home playoff game, no matter who we play. Home field advantage is a must for this young defense, for this young core on that side of the ball, and is a great advantage for our offense with all the veterans. And come on, the players feel it. The players love it. They talk about it. Think about all those tweets that were out there by all the young core who said how insanely on fire with energy SoFi Stadium was his last Saturday night. We need more of that for this team to get to the Lombardi and win that damn Super Bowl. So that'll do it here, Rams Nation. Thanks for tuning in on this Rams Up Roundtable here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. That's Paul Below. And that's Tom rejoining us for the whole playoff run here. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share this video with all your fellow Rams fans. And we'll see you very soon. Go Rams, baby.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Rambling
guys.
forever.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.